I'm offering Republicans an exceedingly simple option. We should not consider any reconciliation bill that does not lower out-of-pocket health care costs for the American people.
The exchange between Chuck Schumer and Mike Crapo over reconciliation and health care is a sharp reminder of how fundamentally divided Washington remains, not just on policy, but on process.
Let's see how this plays out. Make sure you watch till the end.
Well, Mr. President, Republicans say they want to lower health care costs. Well, here's a chance. Here's a chance for you. A chance for Republicans to join Senate Democrats to start doing something about it once and for all. Tonight, with the very first amendment of the evening, I'm offering Republicans an exceedingly simple option. We should not consider any reconciliation bill that does not lower out-of-pocket health care costs for the American people. Republicans slashed $1 trillion from our health care system as part of their big, ugly bill. Since then, premiums have soared by thousands of dollars a month for millions of people. Prescription drugs are up by 600%. Out-of-pocket costs have gone up for people with Medicare, Medicaid, ACA. And instead of pumping hundreds of billions of dollars into ICE and Border Patrol, Republicans should be working with Democrats to lower out-of-pocket costs. Republicans, listen to the American people. They're crying out for you to lower their health care costs, not play these ridiculous games by adding so much more to ICE and CPB. So Republicans, listen to the American people, say no to billions more for unrestrained rogue agents, and say yes to lower premiums, lower health care costs,
Senator's time has
healthier
expired.
families. I urge a yes vote.
Thank you. Mr. President.
Senator from Idaho.
Mr. President, to the Democratic leader, the Republicans are working to reduce health care costs and lower premiums. But this amendment is not in order. Creation of such a point of order is outside the jurisdiction of the Budget Committee and is therefore not appropriate for inclusion in a budget resolution. Adopting this amendment would jeopardize the privilege of the budget resolution and lose our ability to use reconciliation to reopen the Department of Homeland Security. Therefore, under the provisions of Section 305B3 or B2 of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974, I raise a point of order that the amendment offered is not germane.
Mr. President.
The minority leader.
Pursuant to Section 904 of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974 and the waiver provisions of applicable budget resolutions, I move to waive all applicable sections of that act and applicable budget points of order for the purpose of the pending measure and ask for the yeas and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Schumer's move is strategic. By offering an amendment that essentially says no reconciliation without health care, he's trying to force the conversation onto politically sensitive terrain. Health care isn't just another line item. It's one of the most emotionally charged and electorally potent issues in American politics. Voters understand it, they feel it, and they react strongly to it. So Schumer is framing reconciliation not as a technical budget tool, but as a moral and social obligation. And that framing matters. Reconciliation, by design, allows the Senate to bypass the filibuster and pass legislation with a simple majority. It's powerful, but also controversial. Schumer is signaling that if Democrats are going to use that power, it should be tied to something tangible and broadly impactful, like health care access or affordability. In other words, if you're going to bend the rules, do it for something people can clearly see and feel. Crapo's response, however, reflects the Republican counter-argument that reconciliation is being stretched beyond its intended purpose. From his perspective, attaching health care requirements to reconciliation risks turning the process into a partisan weapon rather than a fiscal tool. Republicans have long argued that reconciliation should remain narrowly focused on budgetary issues, not serve as a vehicle for sweeping policy changes. But there's also a deeper layer here. Crapo's pushback isn't just procedural, it's ideological. Republicans generally prefer market-driven healthcare reforms, while Democrats tend to support broader federal involvement. So when Schumer ties reconciliation to healthcare, it's not a neutral condition. It's a policy direction that Republicans fundamentally disagree with. What makes this moment particularly interesting is the political timing. Healthcare consistently ranks as a top voter concern, especially in periods of economic uncertainty. By foregrounding it in a reconciliation debate, Schumer is effectively setting a political trap. Oppose this, and you risk being seen as opposing healthcare improvements. Support it, and you concede ground on Democratic priorities. Crapo's reply, therefore, is about resisting that framing. He's trying to re-anchor the debate in procedural integrity rather than policy substance, arguing, in effect, that the rules of the Senate shouldn't be bent to force a particular policy outcome. But here's the reality. Reconciliation has already evolved into a tool for major policy changes under both parties. Tax cuts, stimulus packages, healthcare adjustments, these have all gone through reconciliation. So the argument that it should remain purely budgetary is more aspirational than practical at this point. Ultimately, this exchange highlights a broader truth about modern governance in the Senate. Process is policy. The fight isn't just about what gets passed, it's about how it gets passed and under what conditions. Schumer is leveraging process to advance a policy priority. Crapo is defending process to block that same priority. And caught in the middle is the question voters care about most. Will any of this actually lead to meaningful changes in healthcare? That's the tension driving this debate, and it's not going away anytime soon. Appreciate you watching. Hit subscribe for more content just like this.